I am the oldest son of 5 children, 4 boys and 1 girl. We lived in a little town which is not far away from Vilna. Vilna is a very important city in Lithuania or in Poland, depends what history you take a look, geographically speaking. Sometimes Vilna used to belong to Lithuania, sometimes used to belong to Poland. But when I was born, it was Poland. And when I grew up, it became Russia. Now it's Belarus, it's White Russia. So you see, all of there, the country changes because of political situations. Anyway, I was the oldest son of the family. And we had a good upbringing. I had a private teacher who used to teach me the Bible, etc. And this was till the age of 9. That in 1939, Germany and Poland and Russia made a pact. What was the pact? That Poland was divided into 2 parts. One part was Russia, and the Germany took over the other part. Where I was born, the Russians took over. Well, when Russians took over, they told us that Stalin is God. And therefore everybody has to go to learn in the public school to find out about communism, etc. Now, my family was considered a rich family. Why? In Russia, if you employ workers, you are considered an enemy of the state, because every worker has to work for the state. So every day we were expecting to be sent to Siberia. That's what they used to send all the people who are considered rich. I remember my mother of blessed memory used to have a sack of dry bread next to the window, and she was watching at night when I used to get up. I used to see her looking in the window and watching if they come to ask us to get into the truck in order to pack us on the train to go to Siberia. But we had very good Christian friends that used to work for my father. You see, my father was a fisherman because the river used to pass by our village or our little town, and the people who used to work for him were very devoted to him. And they had a voice to say that we should not be transported to Siberia. So thank God we didn't go to Siberia. But it didn't take long. In 1941, the war started between Russia and Germany. Well, our town, Byelica, was not far away from an airport where the Russians used to practice how to fly the airplanes. And when they heard when the Russians are coming, the Germans are coming, they had a fight together, and 3 Germans were killed. When the Germans were killed, they burned 3/4 of the town. And our house, we came out as we are standing. As a matter of fact, they almost considered my father as a soldier, and any soldier they would kill. But thank God, since he was holding the little baby on his arm, they let him go. Well, as soon as the Germans came into town, they started the routine how to oppress the Jews. And unfortunately, it started first with the following manner. They took the rabbi and 36 other people, and they demanded schmuck. Schmuck in German means silver, gold, any worthwhile pictures, etc. And they said, this is this amount. Our people were not rich. They were quite comfortable in a sense that they had food, they were able to send their children to school, etc. Well, all the ladies gave up all their rings, all their whatever diamonds they had, etc. And they said that's not enough. And they took the rabbi, and he had a long beard, so they cut the beard, they cut the beard in the middle, and they left two sides, and they started to pull by the sides in order for the rabbi to suffer. After he finished suffering from this, they told him to wash the horses. And to drink the water from the horses. Unfortunately, he had to drink the water, and he told him to drink some more and more till he died. They took the other people and they buried someplace that we never knew where. And they killed them all. This was week after week. They used to come different kind of Germans to demand certain things. After 2 or 3 months or so, then they used to play with us games. It's called the gauntlet. They used to stand two rows of Germans, and the young people used to pass by the row, and they used to clobber them with the machine guns, and some of them used to put the foot down in order to fall down and hit them. I saw it myself. I was at that time 10, almost 11 years old. I was small in size. And then they came and they ordered all the Jews to go in a ghetto. In a ghetto was a different, bigger city. It's called, in Yiddish, Ghetto. In Russian, it's called Jatlava. So they took us, all 7 of us, and put us in one room, which is just place that we can lie down on the floor, and a little kitchen that belonged to the family that used to live there. And the family was living in the same house. So, what happened was, the Christian friends came over to us and told us what they do in the other ghettos. And what they do in the other ghettos? They kill the Jews. And how do they kill them? They make them dig big holes, and then they pack them on trucks, and they bring them to the side of the big holes, and with a machine gun, they cut them down. So the Christian friend told us the best way to do maybe is to dig a cave and to hide ourselves when they come for the massacre. So the first massacre came, and I heard them. I couldn't sleep that night. I had a stomach ache, and I heard the trucks coming in, and I woke up the family, and the ghetto was surrounded. And then we heard the voices, rouse, rouse, which means get out from their homes and go to the marketplace. Well, our family went in the cave, and in order to close the cave, since I was the firstborn, I offered to close the cave in such a way that the Germans would not find the opening. As soon as I make sure that the opening is closed and would be unnoticeable that something is underneath, a German spotted me and he said, "Oh, what are you doing here? Why aren't you in the marketplace?" I said, "I forgot my coat." "And where's your family, by the way?" "Oh," he says, "my family left already, but I have to get my coat." He says, "Where you going, you don't need a coat. If you don't run now, I'll kill you right now." So I started to run and to come to the marketplace. In the marketplace, I saw a scene that I never seen before. Thousands of Jews were standing, and the Germans with the bayonets surrounding them. And for the first time I saw a woman holding a baby and breastfeeding, and the Nazi came over with the bayonet and perched the baby and threw it like a football. Then I saw people, if they didn't move fast enough, they used to shoot them on the spot. Then I looked from the thousands and thousands of people where they're going, and I see something in the front. The guy in a yellow dress, a German Nazi, stands with his finger and points this way and that way, which means I saw that all the children and the elderly is sent to the right, which means to death, and the people who have a certificate, like who is a nurse, a doctor, a cobbler, a tailor, or a strong guy that they can use, they would send to the left. So from the thousands and thousands of people, it remained only a few hundred And then I used to go around to see if they found the cave, so at least I will be killed together with the family. Well, I didn't find anybody from the family, so I went over to the people who have children, and I asked them if they're going to take me as their son. And unfortunately, not everybody wants to take somebody else as a son. And then I saw a woman with two girls, and she was holding a certificate as a nurse. So I went over to her and I said, you know, I think they need nurses. Can you take me as your son? And she looked at me and she says, if they're going to let me live with two children, they let me live with three. Stay and hold on to my dress. As a matter of fact, she was so kind that I had the 6 Mogen David, the yellow badge of a Jew that was from the pushing was torn. And if a German saw that was torn, he would kill you right away. She had a pin in her pocket that she pinned it up back, that the yellow sign of Jude, which you have to put on in the sign that you're a Jew, from both the front and the back. Anyway, when she went over to the German that with the finger left and right, they sent her to leave because she had this certificate as a nurse. And I went with her. And I asked her her name, that I never seen her before in my life. And the name was Rabinowitz. And I thanked her for saving me, and I ran back to open up the cave from the house that I covered. In the cave, while approaching the house, I saw 5 people dead in front of the house. So I was thinking that was my family. So I passed out, and I was lying there. My aunt came, and she opened the cave, and my mother of blessed memory said, "Where's my son?" She said, "I didn't see him." So she ran. While she was running to find me, she saw me lying pass out. This was the first massacre. And 3 months later, it's about the second massacre. But during this time, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I was standing in the room, and the window, I saw the lady that saved my life passing by with one of our daughters. And I said to my mother, "This is the lady that took me as her son." My mother ran out and blessed her and talked to her that she should be able to survive. My mother was very well known in town where we were born, because we had 2 aides. One was to cook for people that were poor, all the soup that used to come for people that used to go from one place to another. And one of the aides used to take care of the children, because my mother was in business as well. So my mother, of blessed memory, was a very charitable woman. and people loved her. Well, in 3 months passed by, then was Judenrein. Judenrein means clear, and Juden means Jews. Nobody is to survive. Everybody has to be killed. So again, we went into the cave. We stayed there for 6 days and 6 nights. And unfortunately, they found the cave. When they found the cave, Father was not with us because he was working outside the ghetto and they couldn't get in. So, Mother said to us, all the 4 boys and the girl, this is our last. Anybody who can run and save himself, he should. So one of the boys that's out running, that my son is named after, my brother, was Abraham. The German noticed him running. He shot him in the back, in front of us. Then my other brother went into a outhouse, not on top, but on the bottom. And I ran under a little bush, which was under the barbed wire. And the German was standing there, and he crushed the barbed wire, and the barbed wire hit my hand, and I was lying there under the barbed wire, and the blood was running, and I did not move. And I saw the people coming to rob all the homes that the Jews lived, taking away everything. So I went to look for my father because I knew where he worked, and a German spotted me and said to me, "What is your name?" I said, "My name is Lazarski." Lazarski is a Polish name. It's not a Jewish name. So he took his hand and he gave me such a smack that I fell down on the floor. And I was so frightened. I never told this, but I'll tell it to you. I even pissed in the pants. Such a smack. Well, he grabbed me by my neck and he brought me to a movie house. In the movie house, I saw about 400 to 500 people that they caught from hiding in the caves. And lo and behold, I found my mother and 2 children. The youngest was the girl and 1 boy. And the boy was Aaron, that my son is named 2 names after Avram Aaron. Well, in the movie house, we were placed on the 2nd floor. The windows were closed, and we were there for 2 or 3 days, and then the trucks showed up, and we knew the sign what the trucks means. That means everybody going to be killed. So Mother took a chair and she hit the window, and the window opened up, and she said to me, "Jump from the window. I want you to survive. I want you to tell the world, if you survive, what's happening, and don't forget to be somebody. And she pushed me out of the window, and I said, I don't want to go without you. He said, I cannot jump from the second floor with a baby holding him like this. And as she pushed me out, I fell in the grass. And a German was standing about 50 or maybe 60 feet away. And I'm sure he heard the knock from the second floor, and he did not turn around as I was lying there in the grass. And then about 5 minutes later, another mother threw out another boy from the window. He was 9 years old. And he was lying next to me, that I never seen before. And then we heard that all trucks were gone. So we get up from the grass, and we didn't know where to go. So I went back to the ghetto. I don't know why, but that was the direction that God told me to go to the ghetto. So I went back to the ghetto, and I saw a scene that everybody is robbing the homes. All the Christians came from the farms and all this with horses and wagons and packing the furniture, packing everything what the Jews left. So I saw a guy struggling with a furniture. I went over to him and I asked him in Russian, can I help you? And he said, by all means. And I started a conversation with him. Oh, I said, there's no more Jews here, huh? Oh, he says, finished, no more. Are there any Jews left over? Oh, he says, yes, there is a little village called Dvorets, which is about 25 kilometers. There are 10,000 Jews there building an airfield. Uh-huh. So I said to the kid, did you hear that? There are 10,000 Jews in another town, Dvorets. We have to get to Dvorets. While I was talking to him, I realized that we are Jews. He said to me, you wait here, I'll come right back. Which means he wanted to get the Nazi to kill us. I told him, listen, if you go away, somebody will take away your furniture. He didn't know what to do. He was standing. And I said to the kid, follow me. And we started to run. And we ran into the corn. The corn was so high. We were so small. And we hit in the corn. And we were lying there. And I remember I saw a sign while running Dvorets. So I know which direction to go. So the night is about to approach, and we started to walk to Dvorets. It became quite dark that night, and the little kid was so tired, 9 years old. He said, let's go and sleep over next to a little forest was on the road. And he didn't have anything. I had a little jacket I put on the jacket on the floor. He fell asleep. I didn't sleep a whole night. I was walking around to see what to do with myself. Well, the sun is approaching, and I woke up the kid, and I says, let's get going. He get up, and he says, I'm not going with you. He says, why aren't you going? He says, I don't want to leave anymore. I don't have a father or mother. But your mother threw you out from the window and she said to you that she wants you to live. I don't want to live by myself. In a way, I didn't blame him. He was hungry, tired, didn't eat for a while. And then I grabbed a hold of his neck and I told him, don't you go. But he ripped away from me and he ran. And I kept on shouting, don't go, don't go. And he ran about 200 feet. And then I see, he came back to me, he said, okay, I'll go with you. And we went and we came to Dvorets, which we had an incident in Dvorets. They robbed us, took away our shoes, and we walked with bloody feet and so on. That's not. We came to Dvorets, we picked up the wire, the barbed wire. As soon as we picked up the barbed wire, a cousin of his recognized him in Dvorets and grabbed a hold of the kid and kissed him and hugged him and said, oh, thank God you're alive, stay with us. And I didn't see the kid anymore. I knew his name. Me, as an orphan, they put in with other 16 orphans in one room, lying on the floor. Then, well, in this room, I found my brother that was going down into the hothouse up to here. Then he cleaned himself out. He went to the room, to the house at night, changed the fine clothes, and he went to Dvorets, and that's where I found him as well. We went in Dvorets. We went to put us to work, to go to the build the airport that they were building. And lo and behold, on the way, we found some Christian friends that knew our family. And I told them that if you hear, if Lazowski, the father, is alive, tell him that 2 sons are still alive in Dvorets. And he went to the forest, and he found my father is alive. And my father, too, that were in Dvorets, he was too sick at that time. So he sent an uncle of mine. He came to Dvorets and took us out from the ghetto. And when he took us out from the ghetto, he brought us into the forest. Into the forest, we lived for 2.5 years. To tell you how we survived, it's a story in itself. We used to go and beg for food. People used to give us some potatoes, piece of bread, and 85% of the people that went into the forest never survived. The worst death is when you freeze to death. You know, in Europe there is 50 below zero. 50 below zero, living in the woods and not having the proper clothes, going in rags and going in the snow and not having enough, the proper food. People were sick, no medication, etc. It is a miracle that we're able to survive in the woods. So life was not easy, but thank God we had the faith and the stamina and the experience to find out how to survive in a forest for 2.5 years of our lives. In 1944, we were liberated by the Russians, And then we said, we cannot stay anymore in this bloody land. We wanted to go to Palestine. And then there was a law that Russian agreed any Polish citizen that lives in Russia, because we were occupied by the Russians, can go back to Poland. So we went back to Poland. We ran as fast as we could. And in Poland, we wanted to go to Israel. So we heard that all the people that go to Israel are being caught and sent to Cyprus. And in Cyprus, they put them in another concentration camp. That was by the English. So we waited, and then we passed the American zone at night through the Alps, and we ended up in Austria, Bad Gastein. There we lived in the camp for 2.5 years, and till at the age of 17, I came to the United States. That's where I began to study, to go to Yeshiva University. And to make the story short, I'll tell you one little story. At the Yeshiva University, while I was studying, one of our friends is about to get married. So he invited all the class to come to the chasana, to the wedding. So I didn't want to go because I never went to a chasana, number one, never seen, usually they dance there and all this. So, but everybody went, he said, you come along. I come along, and I was sitting and at a table, and next to me was sitting a girl, and we started a conversation, and she said to me, where you come from? Oh, I said, you wouldn't know, I come from a little town called Bielica. Oh, she said, guess what? My best girlfriend told me I'm supposed to be there for the Shabbos. They live in Hartford, Connecticut, but I came to the wedding here. They told me, the mother told me that they saved a boy from Bielica, and they don't know if he's alive or not. So I said, how did they save the boy? Well, she told me the story. When she finished telling the story, it says, I am the boy. Where does the family live? In Hartford, Connecticut. So I called Hartford, Connecticut, and at that time I went downstairs and I got on the phone, and the operator said, there's 5 Rabinowitzes there, which one you want? Everybody got the same name there. So I says, pick the first one. She picked the first one, and guess who answered the phone? The lady that saved my life. And I told her, I'm the boy that you saved. And to make this story short, you know, the girl that was with the mother, one was 7 and one was 5, I married the daughter. And we're married, thank God. Today is our anniversary, my son. By the way, I used to take groups to Israel. I took 36 groups. A lot of Christian people, a lot of ministers, a lot of priests, which I was involved with them because of position that I had as a rabbi. So while going to Israel, I used to find people from different areas that we come from. And then I said, I saved a boy once, but I don't know if he's alive. But I gave his name. And after about 25 years, somebody came over to me and said, Rabbi, the boy that you saved is alive. He lives in Edmonton, Canada. When I came back to the United States, I called up Edmonton, Canada, and the boy answered the phone. His name is Abe Goldstein. And he said, who's calling from the United States? I said, the fellow who saved your neck. When he heard this, I didn't hear for a minute. Then he said, oh my God, I never knew that you were alive. And guess what? This boy, he lives in Edmonton, Canada. He owns 39 restaurants. He has three children, I think 2 sons and 1 daughter. All of them are doctors. And when I were honored after my serving the congregation for 45 years, 1,000 people came. He came from Edmonton, Canada, to tell the story how I saved his life. I can go on for hours here to tell stories. If you have any questions, now is the time for you to ask questions. So who's brave enough?
Daring enough.
Who's daring enough? All right. Okay, young man. Speak up.
My great-grandfather was in the forest also, and he said he had a lot of problems with animals, wolves and stuff. Do you have any encounters?
His great-grandfather was in the forest and he had a lot of problems with animals, wolves and things like that. Did you encounter any of that?
Yes, I'll tell you a story about the wolves. We had a friend that we had a Christian friend that supported us with potatoes, and the winter is about to come, and he said, I know you're not going to have any meat whatsoever. Here's a half a cow, or half a side for a cow, whatever it is, I don't know. But I said, what are we going to do with a cow? We have no place where to put the cow, because the cave that we are in is only for people that can lie down and to keep us warm, the body, from one body to the other. If one has to turn, the other one has to turn, because there was not enough room in the cave. So what did they do with the meat? We took a sack and hanged it on the tree, and we figured that we cut it in pieces, that we were able to rip a piece because it's frozen, and maybe to cook it at night. Well, as soon as we hanged it up on the tree, the animal came and helped himself too. He needed more than we did. So, where we were, there were no lions, only small animals like foxes. Sometimes we had with bites, what do you call it?
Coyotes, bears.
No, the slang. Snakes. The snakes were very dangerous at time, especially when you hit the bottom of there's a lot of water and so on. But the animals, I know one incident that some animal did give us a lot of trouble by biting one of our. You see, we didn't have any guns to shoot him, so that was our problem too. We couldn't defend ourselves.